The product design team uses a concept called design thinking, which is a product design tool that is used often by IDEO, which is a product design company. So we're borrowing this concept for the construction and building industry. The steps that are included in this process include empathize, so thinking through user stories, analyzing market research and market data, and also thinking through our different stakeholders and what their needs are in the process. What we're doing is a little bit different than a typical end user product, because what we're doing involves a lot of handoffs throughout the process. So that means including our stakeholders. If you can imagine it for a second, our module starts as a design with the client and then gets handed off into shop drawings and then goes to manufacturing and then gets handed off to transportation and then finally goes to the site during construction. So that's a lot of handoffs for a product before it gets to end user. And all those stakeholders have really important voices in what happens to that product in each of those stages. So they're included in empathize, and they're also included in a few other steps that I'll mention in a second. The next step would be define. Define then takes that idea, so some of those end user studies or user stories, and turns them into definitions that become the products that then go into ideation. Ideation is the third step, and this is the fun step with brainstorming and imagining and gathering ideas. These meetings are typically a lot of fun, really high energy, and then that leads to the next step, which is prototype. Prototype is where these fun ideas, these big ideas, hit reality. So we're testing to see if they're actually possible. We're actually building prototypes on our factory floor. So prototype makes things more real. And then it leads to the next step, which is testing. Testing doesn't have to look like your standard fire tests and acoustic tests. It's also checking against cost analyses to see if it's hitting our objectives for cost. It's looking at manufacturability. Did we hit our objectives for that? Are we worried about breakage? And this is where things become even more real for us. Lastly, we have sign off, which takes those tests, the results from those tests, the results from prototype, and we actually sign off with our stakeholders and then go into implementation, which is arguably the most important step because it takes what we've done and actually puts it into platform and into other mechanisms for people to use outside of the product design team.